All right, we're here with the son of Mr. and Mrs. Moore, who's joined us. Mike, affectionately as we call him. Mike, tell me something, man. What is it like?
What is it like to be a mom, or what is it like to be a dad?
Yes, exactly.
Something is wrong with that. But the questions are, what is it like to be something?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you asking us those questions?
Yes.
Look at that.
I'm also asking for the other people too.
Okay.
So you're asking mommy and daddy a question?
Mm-hmm.
What is it like to be your mommy or dad?
Yeah.
It's expensive.
Yes.
And be mommy and daddy who have to take care of children, make sure they don't get hurt, and make sure they have, and the most important is to make sure they
You
have
go to school.
Yes. And brush your teeth
That's right.
after school.
Mm-hmm.
And
So I have a question for you.
and yeah.
What do you like best about being in Memphis, Tennessee?
Good question. I like to be best in Memphis, Tennessee. It's see my tiller truck, see my dusty crop hopper, and see my Buzz Lightyear.
Nice.
So your toys. So you like your toys that are here?
Uh-huh.
What have you seen so far that you have enjoyed the most?
I enjoyed my parents.
Oh, nice. Thank you. We appreciate that.
My daddy. I enjoyed my.
What about the fire museum?
Oh yeah, I love my fire museum.
Because you are a...
Fireman.
That's right.
But
Did you
I have a fire outfit too.
Oh, really?
It's not heavy for me. I can go through burning buildings.
Yeah.
I got an oxygen mask and I got an air tank on my
You
back.
got the whole gear. Do you have the hat?
Yeah, I got a chameleon hat. One in Richmond, one in here.
That's right.
All right. You want to tell us about school?
My school is my new teacher. This time is the new teacher time.
New teacher time.
My really old teacher is called Greater Hope, and that's my old school. It's called
In
Greater
Virginia,
Hope.
Richmond.
And my second new school was called New Bridge Elementary School. Now this new school is Downtown Elementary School.
I've seen that school. Really nice, big brick building.
Have you met Mr. Bryant?
Mr. Bryant?
Yeah.
Who is he? Principal?
No, he's a teacher.
Teacher?
Yeah, from Teams, Microsoft Teams.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
virtual
That's right.
learning.
My dream was I wish I could see a tornado and I wish I could be a penguin so I could live in the Arctic.
You like the cold weather, don't
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
So you just told me you want to be a meteorologist, whether you know it or not. You like tornadoes, you like the elements, you like all of that.
I just don't like tornadoes because I'm just scared they might come for me.
They come for you. Like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz.
That was a movie.
It wasn't real life?
That was a bomb.
It was just a movie.
It was just a movie.
Yeah, the Wizard of Oz.
Spoiler alert. I thought it was a real deal.
Yep.
Ah.
You're kind of funny. I can tell you a joke.
Go ahead.
Why does the rubber chicken want to talk? Because it talking.
You give me time to answer, Mike. You give me time to answer.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, high five. That's right. 10, I love it. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, the son of Dr. and Mrs. Michael Moore and the brother Mike. Always good to hear from the children. I always say, a baby is God's opinion that life must go on. A baby is God's opinion that life must go on. I love the time we spent with Mike. So this is our segment, of course, Meet the Moores. You guys have been in Memphis hardly a year.
That's it.
I think about 10 months, right? About 10 months, and I know time has flown.
Oh, yeah.
You already had your fiery sermons, Dr. Moore. You got folks to come down the aisle and they give their lives to Christ and surrender all. Talk to us about how that's been, from coming from where you were, I guess, Pennsylvania, I guess? And then transitioning here to the volunteer state of Tennessee, here in Memphis, Tennessee. Talk to me about your journey. I want to start there. What is it like actually being the pastor of this church in Memphis?
I love it. I absolutely love it. And I'll tell you why for a couple of reasons. Let me talk about my journey. So I started preaching at the age of 17. Accepted my call at the age of 16, was licensed on June 6, 2004 at the Ebenezer Baptist Church, 2001 Wiley Avenue, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And so from that point, my pastor at that time, Dr. J.V.A. Winsett, recommended that I go to Virginia Union, and had one of the ministers take me down and tour the school. And the reason why he told me that he wanted me to go to Virginia Union was because he saw the products that the school had produced, and he thought that it would serve me well to attend that institution. He went to another institution, but he just believed so much in the Virginia Union brand that he wanted to make sure that I went there. And so I went to Virginia Union, attended there. I was in Richmond for close to about 15 years, and started pastoring at the age of 25. And pastored the wonderful church, the Mount Vernon Baptist Church, located at 1902 Rosewood Avenue.
Rosewood Avenue. In Richmond?
Yep, in Richmond. So I pastored for 7 years there. I started off as the interim pastor there at the age of 25, and spent a year there, and they didn't let me go anywhere.
Wow.
And so prior to coming to Memphis, I had a wonderful experience at that church. All of the things that I needed to learn that prepared me for a Metropolitan, I learned at that church. Some great and fantastic people there. And even in transition, when I told them that the Lord was leading me to move forward because I had done all that I was called to do there, they handled it so gracefully. So they sent us off with love because during my time in Richmond at the Mount Vernon Baptist Church, my wife was also served as the assistant pastor at our church. So she was the first female assistant pastor at the church in its history. Wow. And so coming out to Metropolitan, it was just like a great fit. Metropolitan has a tremendous history, has tremendous members. So much so, I asked myself, well, what can I bring to the table?
How did you find out about the opening? It was just the search.
That is a great question. Let me tell you about that.
Yeah.
When I was serving at Mount Vernon, I served there thinking that I was going to be there throughout the duration of my career. And then one day, the Lord told me otherwise. I immediately, when I got to have a conversation with my wife, I sat down and talked with her, and I told her pretty much the Lord is telling us it's time to go. And so she said, oh, okay. But she said this to me, I trust you as you trust God. And so in the process, I asked God, I said, well, why can't you have the next opportunity tap me on my shoulders? And the Lord kind of was like, well, no, I don't have to treat you that way. So I was searching, through different online platforms of postings of churches, just trying to see what my spirit had discerned. And I came across Metropolitan and their posting. And when I came across Metropolitan's posting, what stuck out to me was this thought process of extra effort wins, this motto at the top in the letterhead. And I originally passed up on that opportunity. And I just said, well, if it's meant to be, the opportunity will present itself again. I didn't feel like I pulled everything together in my packet. I was like scrambling to get letters of recommendation together and all that stuff. And it was close to the deadline. So I said, well, if it's meant to be, it'll open itself again. And lo and behold, on another platform, there was a publication for the senior pastor job at the church with a later due date.
Yeah.
And so when I saw it, I immediately knew, okay, Lord, it's time for me to go ahead and apply to this church. So I applied to the church, and my prayer to God was, Lord, please allow this process to be swift, because I just don't want to take my church through a whole bunch as I prepare to leave. And Metropolitan was the second church out of the churches that I applied to reach back out. And from an interview to the weekend there with the church, I just had encountered so much where I felt at home that I thought that, this is the place where we're called to be. So.
Talk to me about that academic experience he alluded to that made you kind of think about some things as well when he was talking about making a move.
Well, there are two things. One, I think at the time I was working at Virginia Union, and there were just certain doors that I needed open for my own professional career that they weren't able to open at the time, which is fine. But that's only a part of it. The other piece is that one day I was driving home from work, and I was having a conversation with the Lord myself. And I was saying, God, my husband, he can easily and quickly say yes and is ready to move whenever you say move. He is ready to move. Whether there's fear in there or not, I can't tell, because he just courageously moves. And I said, God, I want to be in that space where when you say move, Christy, move. And so I don't know, and I said this, I said, Lord, I don't know what I'm inviting into my space by saying I want to say yes, but I am here and I'm ready for wherever you want to move me. And I think I shared that conversation with Mike, and so I think in my own spirit I was ready to move with him wherever we were getting ready to go, because I was saying yes.
At the time?
So I was an adjunct for the Doctor of Ministry program, but I was also the program manager for the same program as well. So I was serving as adjunct and managing the program until a new leader came in place. And so there was a lot happening, a lot of shifts and transitions happening at the time. But also I wanted to move forward in my own professional career. I wanted to be a full-time professor or director of a program, and so I needed to be in a space where I could do that fully. I had no idea that response and that question, those things I said to the Lord, was going to open up these kinds of doors. I had no idea, but I said, Lord, I don't know what I'm inviting, but I'm okay with whatever it is, because I'm tired of being afraid.
God can open the doors, but you gotta enter by yourself. So I can see that. And Pastor, your move had to be, devastating to the congregation, I guess. How did you break it to them? Was it at the end of the sermon, or you said we're gonna have a church meeting at the end of all of this, and everybody stayed?
It's crazy. They handled it, I would say, better than what I've heard or been able to experience. You hear horror stories about churches and when pastors are leaving and how relationships go sour. That was not the case. That church had come to know my character well enough to know, first of all, that I love them, and I love them dearly, and that I follow whatever the Lord is calling me to do. And so in my journey of trying to figure out what the Lord was doing, I actually told them before there was a definite decision from anywhere, before we knew we were going anywhere. So I was in the finalist stages for a few churches, but I just didn't know where. And so Metropolitan was the church that was moving most aggressively as far as in the timeline. And when we went to tour Metropolitan and to come to preach and everything like that, when I walked in the sanctuary and I saw the lettering that's in the sanctuary that says, love the Lord your God and thy neighbor as thyself, that's what confirmed for me that I knew I was going there. I didn't know how I was going to work out, but I knew that just from how I felt being at the church and what we could do together, I was like, okay. And so it's funny, when we came back from visiting Memphis and
well, even before then, that Sunday, when he preached, at the end of the service, the Dr. Porter and his wife and myself and Michael, we stood at the front of the sanctuary so the people might receive you, shake your hand, hug you, those kinds of things. And I was standing there just crying profusely, just crying as if something bad was happening, but it wasn't tears of joy. I really felt like this is it. This is the place. And I felt completely overjoyed inside that I could not contain myself. And in that moment, I knew, okay, the transition is happening even right now. It's happening.
And you weren't official at that time, were you?
No.
You just preached that.
He just preached.
I was just there the weekend, and
that was confirmation.
And it was interesting because it wasn't until that worship experience at the church that I knew. I feel like, and I can kind of say this now, my guard was up when we came to Memphis because I had such a joyful experience at my last church. I really was saying, look, I don't have to be here. I'm not running away from anywhere. Right. I'm not getting kicked out. Yeah. And so it was almost like my conversation with the Lord was, Lord, you know what I've been able to experience and what we've been able to do. So, Lord, I pray that wherever you're sending us, you know, that the Lord, you're going to take care of us, you know. And I'm not talking about financially, but take care of us from the challenges and things that can happen in the church, you know, because serving as a pastor can be painful. People always think they know best. You know, people have their opinions. They you know, they insert themselves into the business of the family without, you know, being considerate that we're human beings, those kind of things. And so I was really more so concerned and protective of my family. And seeing how comfortable she was at Metropolitan and seeing how at home she felt, it was the icing on the cake for me, because knowing my wife is a woman in ministry, coming to the Mid-South, knowing that people may not necessarily honor her call, right, to ministry or recognize her as a scholar, an academic, that was my concern. And I was saying to God, Lord, I don't want to just come somewhere where I'll be able to pastor. I want to come somewhere where we as a family can blossom. And that has been the case and some at Metropolitan.